All right, if you go back to the labs on your GitHub, if you go to Microsoft Lab, Microsoft in your GitHub, let me go to my GitHub first of all. And on this AZ104 repository that we're dealing with, and then you go down to let me open the 104, the labs. There is instructions, lab. There's a lab on networking traffic management. All right, guys, this is homework though. I need everybody to go look at this lab. Implement network traffic management. All right, this lab generally should take you about how many minutes? 60 minutes, 1 hour to do this lab. This is a lab I want all of you to set it up. And most of these labs, it's very easy if you actually follow the instructions and really make sure that you're doing what is expected here. You will be able to set it up. All right. So I want everybody to do this lab. We can revise it a little bit on Saturday before we continue. I can take 1 hour and we go over it. But I'll only do it if you guys actually do it. So this lab implements quite a lot of things: traffic manager, load balancer, and so on, right? Application gateways, and then you clean up your resources, right? So I need you guys to do this lab, and we'll revise it on Saturday. Okay, please. What other lab is here that we have already covered? Let's see. This is rollback access control coming up, a topic that is coming up now. This is Azure resources. How can I expand this though? There's no way to expand this. All right. So virtual machine is done. Implement web apps. It's not yet. Data protection, monitoring. We have Azure storage. This is coming up, right? Dealing with this, going to do with this now. Traffic manager, connectivity, virtual networking, resource governance, RBAC, identity management, right? So the major topics that we have right now is storage, identity access management, right? Monitoring that we have. Those are the major topics that we really have to cover for this. So this month of September, I'm going to make sure we run up on this. And if any time left, we can do supplementary topics on this. Any question before we move on? All right. So one moment, let me pull up my slide. Diode, you didn't also do the homework? You're always doing homework. What happened this time?
Saturday was my birthday. I wasn't on the class on Saturday. So
happy birthday.
Thank you, sir. I did the class you did on Saturday. I practiced already. So I don't really know what's really good on Saturday.
Okay. All right. So all right. So I've given everything to you as homework, and we are going to quickly revise that. If you go through that lab covers content delivery network, traffic managers, load balancers, application gateway, right? I will spend 1 hour on Saturday, and then we are going to go through that and make sure that I answer a question. And I'm only going to do that if you guys do the homework, though. If you don't do the homework, I'm sorry, I'm not going to touch it. You really have to do the homework. You have to do homework, guys. I mean, if you don't do homework, then this training is going to take years to finish. You have to learn to do the homework. It's very, 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 very important Then you guys do your homework. All right. So in today's class, we are going to be talking about IAM rules, managing permissions, and understanding how permissions are granted as far as Azure resources are concerned. All right. So what is that actually? Okay. Now, you guys would have heard about Azure Active Directory. What is Active Directory in total? How is it really work? On premises, a typical AD where Azure Active Directory is being implemented. Am I recording this? Okay, yeah. This is a typical scenario where Azure Active Directory is put into place. First of all, accessing Skype, which has been replaced with Teams, right? Your authentication, if you are working in the corporate world, right? You have what is called a single sign-on. Single sign-on, meaning you have one username and password, which most of the time it's your company email, and then the password. And once you sign in, all these different apps from OneDrive, Outlook, Teams, SharePoint, all the multiple apps that a company uses, you don't have to authenticate again. This is typically called a single sign-on. And how does it work? In Azure, on premises, for example, you will set up what is called Active Directory, which will be used to help with the authentication of these different applications, right? But in Azure, you will have your on-premises Active Directory where users are created, roles are created, organizational units are created, and it helps with authentication. But in Azure, you have Azure AD. But Azure AD will help you to be able to authenticate to all these different resources. For example, Teams, Office 365, Power BI, SharePoint, OneDrive, all these is where Azure AD is already being used. A user is here, wants to use any of these, passes their username on login through Azure AD credential. It then authenticates in any one of these resources, and you are allowed to connect. Now, we have, not only do we use that to all these different services I'm talking about here are software as a service, right? These are SaaS, where you are able to log into all of them without necessarily using extra username and password. But then you have also resources in Azure, which also require you to authenticate. For example, if I want to log into a virtual machine or Azure SQL database, right? Azure AD also helps me to be able to authenticate in any of these different resources to be able to connect. And let's say, for example, I have a web app and there's a user over here wants to connect to the web app, passes the username and password. The web app, the Azure AD fetch that information and then gets authenticated and send the reply back. Now, the importance here is that the web app does not get to keep a database of users and their password, right? It sends what is called a token. I'm going to show you in subsequent examples how that really works. All right, so that brings me to what is called identity. So this topic is really identity access management, IAM. You might have heard about the word IAM role. Whenever you hear in cloud computing, IAM, that stands for Identity Access Management. All right. So it therefore means that we need to figure out what is really an identity. When we talk about identity, what is it all about? Well, we can define it as something that can be authenticated, a thing that can get authenticated. It can be a username, right? It can be a user which gets authenticated through what? A username and a password. That is an identity. A user. You can only be authenticated if you provide me the right username and the password. Well, an identity can also be an application. For you to authenticate, you will need secret keys or certificates to get authenticated. All right. So that's also what we call identity. So how does this really work? For example, let's just say we want to get a look at it. A classical approach, how without using Azure AD, will be you have a client that needs to log into a user database. What happens? You send in your username and password. The application or the resource will keep a database that has your username and password. So you send it, receives it, and sends the result back. If it's positive, then you authenticate. Right? That's simple. So the challenges with this one, right, is that you have to maintain a user database. You have to maintain a user database. Now, just think about it this way in the corporate world where we have multiple different applications. It therefore means that each application will keep a username and password or user database. And when you're dealing with hundreds of different applications that you log in corporate world just to make things work, it becomes very complicated because things could go wrong, things could fail. And so that risk is there. Maintain a user database. All right. So, and also maintaining security features to make sure that the database is secured, is protected, can be very challenging, especially if you're dealing with different kinds of applications that have to maintain that. So it becomes very, very challenging dealing with that. Now, having understood that, that comes Azure AD to solve this problem. Because with Azure Active Directory, it's an identity provider which works in the following way. One, you will have your server, which is what the client wants to access. The server will not keep a database of users, the usernames, the password. All this information will be kept at the level of Azure Active Directory. So a client wants to connect to this server. What happens? It sends a username and password, which is kept by Azure AD. Now, the Azure AD does what? Sends back a token to you. That token now is sent to the server. And what the server does is it takes this token and makes one round of search in the Active Directory to authenticate that that token is correct. If that token is correct, it sends back a reply to this guy, yes, it's been verified, and then it sends a reply back to the client can connect. So in that case, this client here or the server does not keep anything, right? It doesn't even keep the token. It just receives the token from the client who wants to connect, and it makes a round to the Active Directory. So client wants to connect, makes a username and password, and obtain a token. Take that token, send it to the server. The server picks up the token, send it to the Active Directory where the token came from. The token is sent back with a verification. If the verification passes, you get a reply, and then you can connect. With this, we have a centralized management portfolio or the management platform where everything gets managed at the level of Azure AD, Active Directory. Now, what is the benefit? Centralized user management, right? You have just one place where you have to implement security. So you have top-notch security. And for that reason, you can easily implement what is called multi-factor authentication at the level of Azure AD. So now imagine the scenario where you have hundreds of apps that you have to connect to. Virtual machine, SQL Server, web app, Office 365, and so on. What happens now is you have one client who will maintain one username, one password, right? Then everything is linked up to Azure AD. Okay. So, but in the situation where we do not have Azure AD, what will happen here? Every single one of these will have a database here. But with Azure AD, it takes that away. Now the client can connect to all this by doing what? Sends a token, sends a username and password, obtains a token, sends a token to the application. The token is now verified. If it's successful, a reply comes back, and then you connect. And with the same username and password, I can obtain a token to connect to any one of these. This is the so-called single sign-on, right? Where you don't have to change username and password to sign on to multiple applications, so long as they are under the same Azure AD for the same company, you are able to connect. All right? Okay, now, having said that, who should know more about Azure Active Directory? Yes, you, who is sitting here right now. Multi-factor authentication on-premises, user synchronization, protect users and organization. IT administrators should know that. Developers should also know that, because on single sign-on, they integrate multiple different applications, and it's kind of really difficult to keep up with username and password. So single sign-on. And also for subscriber to Office 365, these are things that you have to know. Now, what is access management now? Now that we know somehow how Azure Active Directory works, what is access management? Now, access management, in a nutshell, is the process of controlling, verifying, tracking, and managing access to authorized users and applications, right? That's just a terminology, access management. It just control, verify, track, manage access for all the authorized users and application. So let's get the use case scenario. How does it work? Access management. Let's say, for example, I have a user called Amy who needs maybe some permission. And that permission maybe is owner or read, write, delete, read permission on a certain resource. Let's say that resource is SQL Server Gateway, for example. No, so what happens now is Amy is now our client. She will utilize Azure Active Directory. And what we'll do is that once Amy tries to connect to this resource, she needs access to SQL Gateway to be able to manage other resources like virtual machine, SQL Server, and virtual machine. What happens is, in the Azure Active Directory, you have what is called a scope, a role, and a feature that is required. Right? So now on the Azure Active Directory, Amy is now given what is called a role assignment. She's assigned a particular role at a particular scope. I'm going to talk about scope very soon. Right? Once she gets the role that she's assigned, so the scope in this case right now is this SQL, the permission. Let's say she needs write permission at the level of virtual machine, which is the scope that she needs. So the role assignment right now will be what kind of permissions she needs at what level. Once that is granted, write permission at that scope, she's able to now log on to that particular machine and do the right activity, or do maybe delete or update and whatever. Right? So this in access management is done through the use of RBAC. These are just resources that you have to put on your resume when dealing with experience managing access using RBAC, right? Experience with Azure Active Directory, creating users and managing them. Now, RBAC, which stands for Role-Based access control is Azure RBAC. Role-based access control is a system that provides fine-grained access management to Azure resources. Because if you're coming from a SQL class, we are always talking about the principle of least privileges. And what does it mean? I want to grant you the lowest permission required to do your job. If I can give you read permission on a resource and you are able to do your job, there is no reason for me to give you read and write. So we're going to implement least privileges. Also at the level of Azure, you implement least privileges, right? So using Azure RBAC, you can segregate duties within your team, grant only access to users that they need to do their job, right? That is what RBAC is all about. Now, what can I do with it? It can allow users to manage. In this group, I can say, okay, excuse me. Stanley is going to be able to manage virtual machine. Ehi, I'm going to give her permission to manage all backups. Tayo will be able to manage all SQL databases. Maybe Zebs will be able to manage all VMs, networking, components, and so on. Using RBAC, you're able to really go very granular and grant just the permission for the person to do what they're able to do in Azure. All right. So it allows DBA group, for example, to manage databases, maybe allow users to manage all resources. You want users to be able to manage all the resources, you can do that, and so on, right? So that is done with RBAC. And for you to really understand how it works, we're going to take a look at this picture. All right. Now, in RBAC, access is actually provided using RBAC, which is just assigning Azure roles. Now, for you to really know how they work, you have to understand the difference between a user, a server principal, and a role definition. All right. So a role assignment consists of these three elements. You have a security principal, which a security principal can be a user, it can be a group of users, can be a service principal, for example, an application, right? Or it can be a managed identity, right? This is what a security principal is all about. Now, you also have to define what is the role definition that this security principal should have. Am I giving that individual read, write, delete, owner role, and so on? What is the role definition? And if you look critically in cloud computing, you will understand why everything is moving in the direction of role-based access control, right? Role-based positions. No one is required to know everything in the cloud, right? You have to begin. That's why even certifications are role-based right now. There's no specific certification right now that only talks about networking. No more. There's no more specific certification where you only deal with Active Directories. Everything is based on the role that you are dealing with, right? So the role definition defines what you can do once you log into Azure. And the scope tells me how granular is your permission. How far can I go with the permission that I've been given or that I've been granted? That's what the scope is all about. Now a role definition is a collection of permissions, right? It's typically called a role. And this role gives you multiple different things, such as read, write, delete, owner role to a specific resource. And there are just way too many inbuilt roles, as you're going to see very soon in Azure. And if you see here, for example, here, this is policies, and you can see a role definition here as a contributor role. With this contributor role, you are able to do things based on what scope. But then, so role-based access control must implement these three things: the security principle, what is the role definition, and the last thing is the scope, which is where we are. The scope. A scope, in a nutshell, just tells me where your permissions are limited. For example, if you look at the structure in Azure, you will see that everything starts with a management group, right? Your subscription is under a management group. From your subscription, if you're going down this, if you like this, how do you call it? What's the right word for this? Histogram here. You're going to see that the next thing is a resource group, and then the resources. And that's why when anytime we're creating a resource in this class, what do? We have a resource. The first thing that we need to select is what subscription and what is the resource group. That's always how it is, right? You cannot create a resource without defining which subscription it's going to sit on and what resource group. So these are the role. So if I give somebody owner role or read permission, or read and write permission at the subscription level, or let's start here, at the management group level, if I give you read, write, it means that all levels below it will inherit the permission. That is the scope. It means that I've given you the highest scope, permission at the highest scope level. Anything below that scope will inherit the permission. Now, if I only want Michael to only be able to read this virtual machine, I cannot give him permission at this level, because once I give him permission at the management group level, he'll be able to see every virtual machine that is under this, all the subscriptions that are under here. As well, I'll be able to read this app, databases, storage, and all that, because he will inherit the permission from that level. So I have to go very granular and grant him read at this resource level. And you'll be able to see only this. When you log in, the only resource that he can see will be this resource, nothing else. So you can do this either for a group. I can create a group of users and so on, right? So groups are made up of individuals that are, you create groups and you assign individuals under the group, right? You can also grant permission to a particular group. So the role assignment here could be, I'm assigning a role. The role assignment I want to do here, I already know what the scope is. So to literally do role assignment using RBAC, it means that I have to define who is the security principal. Is it a user, a group, application, or managed identity? Now, the next thing will be, what is the role that person wants? Do I give maybe contributor role, owner role, read-only role, read and write? And once I've defined that role, right, backup operator role, security reader role, whatever role I'm giving that person, I need to say, what is the scope? Am I granting it at this level, this level, this level, or this level? Right? And that completes the process of RBAC, right? Defining the security principle, what role that person needs, and what's the scope. And then I'll apply it. All right? So you have multiple role assignment. Not only can you assign just a single role to an individual, I can give you multiple roles assignment using RBAC, meaning an individual wants contributor role and also a reader role, right? At the subscription level, maybe, or at the resource group level, or at the resource level, that is the scope, and so on. Or I need just a contributor role at the subscription or resource, and so on. So if you want that person to automatically have contributor role to all the resource groups within that subscription, of course, you should give that at the subscription level. If you want it to a certain resource group, you grant it at the resource group level. If you want that contributor role at a certain resource, you give it at the resource group level, at the resource level, sorry. And it's very simple. How to do it, right? You have to, first of all, identify the scope, identify the needed scope, right? What scope do I want to? And it's very simple. You go to the resource group. As I've identified, I want to grant it at the resource group. I go to the resource group and go under access control, IAM. From access control, I know that under this resource group, I have only just one resource. So whatever permission I give to the person under this resource group, those resources will inherit that. So access control, under role assignment, and then I look for the individual and assign the role. That's it, right? You can, and there are so many built-in roles, as you're going to see. Look for the given role. You will never be able to master all these roles right now, but you need to just know how the roles are assigned. If someone walks up to you and say, hey, Michael, I want to be able to manage blob storage. I have a new DBA here or a new storage administrator here. I want you to grant that person permission to manage storage. Now you have to figure out, okay, what kind of permission do I give someone who should manage storage within my company? I say, okay, storage blob data reader or storage blob delegator, storage blob data contributor, or storage blob data owner. Read what the role says and go ahead and assign that role using RBAC. It's very simple. It's not complicated, right? So, so here, when you are assigning, here, I've identified what role I need. Now, the next thing now is the server principal. Is it a user group or service, or is it a managed identity? Or is it a system assigned managed identity, for example? And you can see here, in this case here, I've selected user group or service principal. I've typed the name of the user, pick up the user, and then I assign. And you can see right now at the resource group level, this person, Alan, has this storage blob data reader contributor at this resource level. All right. Now, let me answer the question and let's get to demo. Yes, Christabel?
Yes, Doc, I have a question for, it is RBAC or rollback. So I know there are two, the one that rollback and the one with RO and RU. So I'm a little bit confused, the difference between those two.
RO and RU.
Yes, and RU, role-based access control. And
where did you see the RU?
I tried to Google search because I was trying to get the definition of it. So I saw two different things, but I don't know which one.
RBAC stands for RBAC.
Because the one with RU role-based access control, and there's another one with ROLE.
What does RO stand for? I don't know about RO.
The RO is a ROLE, role-based, and the other one is
no.
I think she's talking about look at the Azure role.
Yes. So this RO, the other one is RULE, then base access.
No, so if there's a U, then it's a mistake.
Rule and O. No,
there's no rule. There's no rule. There's a role. There's role based, not rule. Right? If you see a U somewhere, there's a mistake. Everything is role. What is your role assignment, not rule? Okay. So RBAC has just one definition. It's role. Your role that you are performing, right? That's the role base that you are confirming, that you are performing. Azure role-based access control. So remove the U and change it to an O. It has to be an O. If you see a U, then it's a mistake.
But Doug, Google is telling me there are two different types. I don't know.
No. I know where the problem is coming from. The issue is the understanding the meaning of the two words. The two words are roles, but it means two different things. the role with the U that you are talking about is different from the role with the O that you are talking about. That's just need to make the difference between the two.
All right. Okay. Any more question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
From the rollback, from the rollback explanation, if it looks similar, just as the way we also give permissions even at the level of SQL Server. Because if you look at this, the way roles permissions are also given in SQL Server, you can also give permission at the level of the instance and also at the level of a database. You can also give at the level of the table, right? So I think it's almost similar, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. It's very simple. That's exactly that.
Okay.
All right. All right. So we are going to go into demo. And first of all, we're going to start off with
Doc, one quick one.
Yes.
So like you said assigning role, just like in SQL Server, you know, in resource group, in any resource group can have a lot of VMs, right? So I can we assign like one particular, I mean, a resource group assign permission or will grant access just to one VM?
Yes, you can. That's giving the role at the resource level.
Yes.
Right? You can go as granular as saying, in this group, Michael, you are the only person to access this VM. The other people cannot. You can go as granular as that, based on the scope that you've chosen. The higher you go in scope, the more permission you are granted to the person. So the scope is really the key factor here. Right? Okay. Any more question?
I have a question which is at the level of when you are starting the demo. Maybe, yeah, but not here.
Okay. All right. So let's get to the portal. So on the portal, let's start up first of all with Azure Active Directory. So just type here Azure Active Directory. Open it. So what you're going to see here is that, first of all, you can go up a level of management group. Let's go up. Let's even go a little bit higher. Management groups. You'll see that for every account that you create, you have a management group, which is called the tenant root group, right? And you see here, I have mine here, which is the management group. This is the ID. Under a management group, you can create multiple subscriptions. Right now, I have about 3 different subscriptions. I have one for Uptake Consulting Firm, Caretech IT Academy, and I have another one here for Azure by 6. Let me go ahead and delete this. You can move this. I can delete this subscription. I really don't need this subscription. Cancel subscription. So go ahead and cancel it. I really don't need it. There's nothing here. Reason for cancel: unexpected charges, too expensive. I'm using other Microsoft Azure subscription. I don't need it. Cancel this. So this is where in Azure, you can literally create multiple subscriptions, right? Because every account has this management group. And I don't want you guys to do it. Let's just do a very simple example here. You can go under your management group and add a subscription, right? The subscription that you want to add. So let me cancel this here. I'm already here, so I need to be on this management group level, right? And then add a subscription. Move as to try tenant.
Docs, what is telling us is that we should create a management group first, right? If
No,
we are doing it for the first time.
No, all of you have a management group already, right? You can, I mean, you really don't have to do this. I am just showing you how everything, the scope in which everything comes out from you, right? You have this tenant root group, right? Which is where, this is where your management group is. And under that management group, you can add multiple subscriptions. By adding those subscriptions, you can literally, a company could have multiple subscriptions. One subscription for dev environment, production, and non-prod, or staging and so on. And you can use that to be able to manage your costs, right? So like say, okay, on this subscription, this is the cost for this. And go back and then click on this other subscription, you can see the cost based on the subscription, right? So all that falls under your management group, okay? And you can literally move subscription, you can move subscription. If you create multiple management group, you can also move subscription along. So right now, this, my management group, I have about 3 subscriptions. I just deleted one. It's not a refresh, but you can see that I've already deleted 1 subscription. I should have only 2 left right now. It's still showing it, but that's fine. All right. Okay. So, but let's go back to Azure Active Directory. I just want to show you don't really need to do anything to add any subscription. I don't want you guys to add it because once you add subscription, you may delete resources that was created a different subscription and you're still being charged just because you're not looking at the right subscription. So I don't want you guys to create multiple subscriptions, but if you ever needed to create another subscription, what you needed to do is to go under management group and do that. But just remember, when you create multiple subscriptions, you have to be aware that if a resource is created in a different subscription and you are pointing to a different subscription, you may be charged because the resource is in a different subscription and you're not seeing it. Okay. All right. So let's go back. Active Directory. Azure Active Directory. And we're here at the level of Active Directory. Let's just take a look at what is it all about. What is Active Directory made up of? First of all, I have users, right? These users tells me all the users that I have on my Azure AD. Okay. On these users, you can also check even on deleted users, any user that was ever deleted in your company, audit log, sign in logs. The sign in logs tells you which user has signed in, when that person signed in, and where the person is signing in from. For example, you can see the date, the user, the application is signing from, the status, if they're online or not, the IP, the location, and so on. All right, that is under sign in log. Password reset, you can reset password, user setting, bulk operation, like inserting multiple users. Let's say you import, you can actually insert multiple users here from here. But at this level of Active Directory, you have users, right? So if you're looking for a user within your company, click on that user. Let's say you click one user, for example. Let me check this user, for example. Okay. So let's say I get one user like this, for example. I'm able to look through that user on the audit log. I can tell whether that user has ever been signed in to this or not. I can also check the assigned rules, right? What is the roles that this person has? And remember, the roles that you have at the level of Active Directory are different from the roles you are going to have at the level of resources or RBAC. You can check the differences here. You can go on here, Active Directory, built-in roles. For example, Azure has quite a lot of them. Azure 80 billion roles. And you can go through and read all these many roles and figure out what they do, right? For example, there are about, just don't know how many of them are there. Application administrator. What this does. If you are given application administrator, you can create and manage all aspects of app registration and enterprise app. Application developer, right? All this billing administrator can perform common billing related tasks and so on. Directory reader can read basic directory information commonly used to grant directory read access to application. You have all this global reader, global administrator. The global administrator can manage all aspects of Azure AD and Microsoft services that use AD identity. And you can clearly see here, this when you create a user, that user is automatically a global reader. You can read everything that is global administrator can, but not update it. You can only read it. And so on. So these are all the different level of permissions that are at the level of Azure AD, right? User administrator can manage all aspects of users and group, including resetting password for limited admin, right? YAML administrator and so on. So take your time, go through this, or you know that this exists. If tomorrow you need permissions, you can always refer back to this and see what permission is needed and grant it granular. Okay. All right. Let's go back here. So all this is at the level of your Azure users. Now you also have groups. You can create a group, and these groups are security groups. You can create these groups and then make sure that you add members to the group. For example, I create a group here called a DBA group. Guys, give me one moment. Right. Okay. Now, as a group, these are security groups, right? Just like on premises and Azure is the same. You can create a group and then you can add members to that group. You can also assign who is the group owner. This owner can remove members from this group and add them once you assign someone as a member of the group. And then you can do role assignments to the entire group, right? Administrative units, you can add more applications. You can also add which application this group has. And then you can also do Azure role assignment, right? At the level. And now this role assignment now goes back to the scope level. Subscription is this and so on, right? So groups can be used in that case. And things like Azure databases where you are not able to give more than one individual database admin or server admin. What you can do is that you can create a group. If you have 10 DBAs, place them under that group and give the group as the server admin. So that's how these groups are used. All right. So we're going to go ahead and practice how we can create users. People have joined the company. We go at a level of Active Directory and we create this user. And it's very simple. Once you are under AD, you go on users. And literally here, I can just say, create a new user. And there are two ways you can create a user. You can create a new user, or you can invite an external person. A new user will automatically inherit the company domain. Right now, when you create an account in Azure, the domain is typically linked with the email that you use, right? And it's always on Microsoft, the email.com, right? So this, by creating a new user, you create a new user internal in your organization. You have the option to invite as well. So let's say I want to create a new user within the company. And I just look at some of you here. I have, now you can see principal name. What is the principal name? And you see the domain, right? The domain is denniskiawi@outlook.onmicrosoft.com. It's because I don't have a domain that is linked to my domain, right? You can also do, if you in a real company, you have the real company domain, and this will be mapped to your domain, right? You can create your own domain. If you want to really go more into this, you can create a custom domain, right? Add subdomain to that, and actually get DNS resolutions, right? You need to add a domain that really exists, and these emails will be going to that domain. Okay, so but that's not what we're doing right now. We're just going to use the domain based on our subscription, which is our email. All right, so I'm going to go in here and fill this form. So the display name here, I'm going to go with tile. Let's go a tile here, Inosa, right? That is the display name that I want, and the user principal name. I'm always going to go with first name dot last name, right? So first name Tayo dot, right, Inosa at kiawitech.com, at bankofamerica.com, and so on. So that is the principal name, right? So the password, generally companies will allow a simple password like welcome one. Most companies will say welcome one. Oh, no, I don't want to generate the password, so I'm going to give the password myself. Welcome one password. The new password must not be weak or commonly used. So welcome one looks like it's too commonly used. So if I go with password one, I'm pretty sure it's also going to complain. All right. So let me, I know that this one will also complain because I've used it quite. All right. Okay. You can try this for now because at least it's, so there are a common password kiawitech.com 2023 exclamation mark, and the account is enabled. I check the box for the account to be enabled. Next, you can now fill the real user, and the name is Tayo. And last name is Yanusa. And of course, you can now, is a member or a guest. Of course, a member of the organization. The job title is a DBA. Company, Kiawitech. Department, IT. Employee ID, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Employee type, full-time. Hire date, you are hired today. Location, remote. Manager, I mean, you can fill out all this. I don't really need to fill out all this information, right? And then click next. You can already do assignments during the creation or add them to groups. You can say role. What role do I want to give you? But this role that you're giving here are Active Directory role. Remember, AD role, Azure AD roles. Okay, there's not role to be able to access things like VMs and so on. No, these are roles that have to do with Active Directory at that level. So you can do that. I can say, if you look critically here, I can look at something. Let me just give you a global. let me just, it's a global reader. Let me look for the word global. Global reader. I'm just going to give global reader. So if I give him global reader, he can read everything that a global administrator can, but cannot update it. Can only read it. So I'll say, okay, I'm giving him the global reader role. So he has that role. Review it and create. User created. Now let's go back and look for that user we just created. So it was Tile, so I can also type here Tile. I did just spell that name. Tile, I did just spell your name. Yanusa. Oh, let's just create it now. All right, let's look for it. User directory, user, all users. Okay, there you go. It's here. So I can click on it, and you can see the fully qualifying domain name is style.yanusa@. That will be the company domain.com. Right? You can see if you look at that assign role, he has one role that has been assigned to him. No group assigned. The account is enabled, and if you go on single sign-on, you see he has never signed in. Sign-in logs, you see he has never signed into any account. So if I go back, see nothing found. If I go back now and get this username, principal name, copy the principal name, and let's sign into Azure, right? We can say sign in with a different user. And then this time around, I'm going to use a different, I will use a different account and put that name there. Say next. The password was carewitech.com 2023 ! Let me make sure that I did not check the box where user must change password. Because sometimes this happens like that. Azure Active Directory. Azure Active Directory. Users. Let's get that account is here on T, this one. That's the account. And reset password is not what I want. Manage revoke session, edit properties. Nothing here. Okay, authentication method. Okay. All right, let me just go in and try to sign in and see. Now put the password sign in. So it looks like even though you see how to change the password. The current password is carewitech 2023 ! I'll put the same password, see if it's going to accept it. Okay, sign in. Okay, cannot be the same. All right, so I'll remove the exclamation mark. And of course, it requires you to turn on organization needs information to keep your account secured. That is, it wants you to turn on the multi-factor authentication. You can just click ask later for now. I don't want to turn on the multi-factor authentication for now. So maybe later. So now this guy is signed in to the same subscription where the username was created. But if I check here and say, you can see that on resources, he cannot see anything, right? It's just an account that was created, right? You cannot see anything because you literally don't have any permission. But if I go back at level of Active Directory, because that permission was given to you, I gave him permission to view everything at level of Active Directory. You can see, I'm able to see all the everything. But can I delete this account? Well, because I didn't give you permission to do that. You see, delete is even grayed out. But can I reset password? This is not a home directory for that. You cannot reset password. You don't have the permission to do that. So I can see everything. I can see everything at the level of Active Directory because that's the only permission I have in this environment. Okay. So, all right. So let me stop sharing here. I need all of you, someone to share the screen. Let's go ahead and create one more account. And then after that, I'm going to give a quick 5 minutes breakout and let everybody create members of the subgroup as logins and give just global admin, guys, global directory user. Someone should share their screen, please. Okay. We're doing just very simple. All right. Okay. Can you cancel it and do it again, please? Just cancel it. Let's start again from scratch. A, can you?
Sorry, yeah, are you seeing my, it's not showing here that I'm sharing. Can you see my screen though?
You are sharing, right? You are sharing.
Oh, okay.
Just cancel and do it again. Let's start from scratch. Okay, so at level Active Directory, we go to user and let's create a user.
Okay.
Okay, create a user. Okay, so it preferably you can always put first name dot last name, right? It doesn't matter. You can put a T, that's also fine.
Okay. Do I have to put the display name or it's automatic?
Yes. The display name will automatically, the display name, the mail nickname is the one that picks up from there. You can, the display name, you have to put it. It's required.
Are we supposed to choose an image?
No, why? Where does it ask you to choose an image?
But when I type it, it pops up that I have to choose an image. And some images are free, some are not free.
Where on this page where she is?
On Active, when I go on Active Directory before I start.
No, just select Active Directory and go to users. And then, all right, put a password, please. Is that the password? Make sure you mark the password though.
Sure.
Okay, next. Next.
Next again.
You don't have to really fill out all this. This is really when, in a real corporate world, this information will be filled out completely, right?
Okay, but can you skip it?
Yeah, you can just keep it, but in the real world, they will have to fill out this information because that's how users are creating the AD, right? You have to fill out this information completely.
Doctor, please, should we do auto-generate password?
No, you can't do auto-generate. You have to uncheck that and put your own password.
Why is the administrative unit grayed out? But that's not required.
No, it's not required. You're just creating a user for now. You're not adding it to any group for now. I wanted to add it to a role and just give it a global reader. Click on role, add role. and just give it a global reader role. You don't want to search like that. Just, okay, all right. It's okay. Select. All right. So that has a role, but you could also give multiple role, right? I talked about multiple role assignment. So you can give global reader role and then pick any role that you like there and just add it there, just an example. All right. That individual has those two roles at the level of Active Directory. Billing administrator, that individual will be able to see the bills. Even when I work here in Azure environment, you never see the company bill. If you try to view a company bill, you don't have the right to see it. But this person, this role, billing administrator, will be able to see the monthly bill for the company they're working for. All right. Review it and create. Great. All right. Okay. So now that has been created. So the next thing that we have to do right now is go back and look for that user.
Because it's still creating. I don't get it. No.
No, the user was already created. It's just sometimes takes this. All right. Open that. Click on the user. And you can copy now the long name. Right? Copy that. Okay. And then sign in now as a different user. And paste that. Okay. All right. Next. Enter that password. Next. Sign in. It'll prompt you to change the password.
No, no, I didn't change it.
Yes.
Okay. I'm laughing because you said you don't understand where we do that. It's the copy and paste thing, that's right.
Are you pressing the same password?
No, it's different now.
Okay. All right. Then sign in. Generally, once you set up multi-factor authentication, we are not yet there. So just ignore that. Skip that. So ask me later.
Okay. I guess it's successful, right?
All right. Now, at this point, you cannot see any resources on this subscription because you're not granted that. But at least you can go on Active Directory. Go to Active Directory. Just type Active Directory. Active Directory. And you're able to see, at least view the Active Directory. You can check the users, check groups, and so on, and see that you're able to see that. All right. So
okay, and the cost, the pricing information too.
For you to see the cost, you give the billing administrator for that particular user.
Yeah.
You can just go up there and type billing. Billing. All right. Okay.
And every other thing is a no, right?
You see, you are able to see the billing. Those are the only two things we've given this individual. Any other thing, you can't see it, right? And that's where the concept of RBAC will come in. Like, what can this individual see when we give the right role to that person? But for now, we've just created users and we've given them very simple permission. All right, so before I create a breakout room, let me do this. I want all of you to create all the members of your group. And at the level of Active Directory, you can also go to groups. See, I'm still logging to that individual. So let me sign out now and sign in with my real account, this one. Okay, so now Active Directory. You have groups. So I need you to create a breakout room is to create all the members of your subgroup and then create a group, new group. Call it, it's a security group. The group name should be AZ batch 8 subgroup. I know there's no subgroup 7 here. Put the subgroup name there. Right, enter this DBAs, enterprise DBA. You can give a name to it, enterprise admins. All right. Now, on members, select the owner who owns the group. Give someone that owns the group. You go back to your Active Directory and you can pick someone that owns the group. Right. I say, okay, this person owns this group. And who are the members of the group? Select, make yourself the owner of the group, but who are the members? I can select a few people to be members of that group. Right? Just do like that and select OK and create. So that's all I need you to do in the breakout room. Create all the members of your group, create a group, make yourself the owner of that group, and add all the members to that group. And then we can continue. Let's take about 5 minutes and do that, please.
Dr. I still have a question.
Yes, go ahead. Ask your question.
Yeah, in creating the like a new user, did not see, maybe I was creating. When we say job information, we just left all the spaces blank.
You don't have to fill out that information. It's not required for this exercise. In a real world environment, yes, that will be filled out. But for this exercise, you don't have to fill that out.
Okay. No, assignment 2, I should just skip. We should skip.
You can skip it, yes.
But I don't know, might want me to download the auto.
Where's the group? Your users you created. Okay, where's the group? You have not created a group.
I've created a group. What do I need to do? Do I need to refresh?
Go Active Directory. Click on Active Directory. Click on that little icon. It's there already. Here, just click here. Default Active Directory, Michael.
Default, okay.
Click on groups. Okay, so you have a group. Now open that group.
Here?
Open the group that you created. Okay, so you don't have members into it. Then go on members. Add members.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got it from here.
Okay, all right. Okay, so that's it. All right, guys. So let's move on.
I am curious. You see that place it was just now. Can you create members from there, or you have to go create individual users first and search them through that place to add them?
I have not tested that. We can check. I'll go on groups. And then let's say I take this group, for example, on members, add members. So what were you saying?
So yeah, can you create users? Can you create members from this place, from this location?
No,
So
you only
users,
have to accept, you can only select existing member.
Select, okay, so to create, you need to go to users and create individual users.
Yes, you have to create existing users and then add them here.
Sure.
You also have bulk operates, right? Bulk operations. Let's say, for example, you already have the users, maybe like 1 million users. You don't want to go and create them one by one. You also have the option, you can import members, right? Or you can even say download all the members of this group and then start the download. It's going to download it as a CSV file. You could also have a CSV file from your own premises or from whatever you're taking it from, and then you upload the members into this, right? And create that. Just imagine you have a company, you're migrating users to Azure and you have millions of users. You don't want to do that one by one. So download results. Let's see, where is it? Does it go to my local computer? Let me see. I downloaded it. So let me see where it went to. So go to download. And there you go. The file is here. And you can clearly see all the users that are there. And I can literally just export it somewhere else. Okay, let's do it. Let's do something. I'm going to upload this that I downloaded. They have been downloaded. I will save this, right? So now they have been saved. I'm going to go back to my Active Directory and create a different group. Let's just say I create a new group and call this group here managers, IT managers, right? And create. So let's look for that. IT managers. Where is it? Fresh. Fresh. Where is it? There you go. This is a group. Now, as members of this group, I'm just going to import, do a bulk operation and import. Import, download CSV templates, or I can import directly from my local computer. From the download, I have this. The CSV is not valid. Please verify the type of correctly CSV file. It's not a CSV file. Hold on, let's check. Okay, it downloaded it as a Microsoft, as a
Excel.
So let me see if I can convert this to a CSV. Let's go to
Upper width. Go to upper width.
Now I want to go to properties and change it from an Excel file. Change instead of details. This is an Excel file, but I can just click here and put it .csv. It takes it as an Excel file. Hold a minute. There's a way you can convert an Excel file. Okay, I can open it. Yeah, I know that. And then save. Instead of saving it. But it's a CSV here. So why is it not seeing it as CSV? It's a CSV file.
Just save it again. Let's see.
CSV, save. Yes, save. All right. Okay. Okay. The CSV now. Upload. CSV file uploaded is not valid. Please verify you type your CSV file. Select file has no version number or the version number is incorrect, please. Download CSV template, optional. All right, let me first download the CSV template. And I'll just copy and paste it in there. Oh, so I had skipped the step. I needed to first download the CSV, edit it, and then upload. Okay, so this is the CSV template that I just downloaded. So let me go open this one. and copy this, copy. And here, it wants me to, so you see, it wants me to put it there. So, and just put it there. Oh, then copy. Copy. And put it here. All right. And then I'll save it. Okay, so it's safe. So I can now go back and then try to use that one. Let's see if it's gonna work. This one. All right, I don't know why it's not working.
It's still not in CSV. That's the problem. When you see the file, it's still Excel.
Doctor, do you want to save as CSV? Maybe.
But I saved it as CSV then. I saved it.
No, after pasting it, to file and save as CSV.
Oh, did I save? Oh, I don't think I okay.
No, you just save Excel.
Copy. Then go back to the file here.
We see it.
Yeah, it's a CSV. Well, guys, let's
Just
not
do save as.
You may want to save as again, maybe that will help.
Yes, do save as again.
No, from file. From file.
yes.
File up here.
Yes, hold on. Save as.
Then select CSV. Okay.
Yeah, selected already.
Yes, yes. Oh, maybe CSV.
Okay, the limiter. The limiter.
Let me try this one and see. And save. Replace. Okay. Well, this is not even part of the assignment. I was just trying to play. If it's not working, I'll leave it. Is this one?
Latest one.
All right. It's not working, guys. I'll leave it.
It's still
All
Excel.
But I wanted to just see if you can insert multiple values and upload them directly without necessarily going one by one. Okay, so now that we've created groups, right? We know very well, let's just do this before we close. We know very well that in Azure, if you create a server, SQL server, in Azure, you can only have one server admin, right? That's the goal. But now that we've created groups, this is what I wanted to show you guys here. I can create a server now. Just make an empty server, no database in it. Server admin, right now, SQL Server admin, you can not put two server admin. So if you have a group, the only way you can do this is that you are going to create the group and add members of the group. Why is it not showing me? I should both, yes, let me select both. I'll just put here student, the password, everything.com, and then set admin. Maybe I have to create it before I do the set admin. Take it too long. So, but what you have to do is that you create a group, add members of all the DBAs or anyone that wants to have a server admin on SQL Server, and then exit page. And then set it as admin, but select by the group. Okay, so you can see now, Active Directory admin for the SQL Server. This time around, I can just say the DBA team is what I want as the admin. And now it's set as the admin. Review and create. All right, I'll create it because it's a server, it's free. So that's it. Great. So at this point, every member of this group will be a server admin on that database. All right. Can we do that, please? Servers are free. All right. Go ahead, create a server and assign your subgroup as the server admin. Assign your subgroup as the server admin. Let me
Are you
stop.
putting us in a breakout room?
No, we have 5 minutes today. You can go ahead and share your screen immediately. Let's do it one more time and record it. Share your screen. All right. Okay, let's create a server. Just type SQL Server there, so it takes you directly to servers. Okay, create server. Servers are free, guys, so you don't have to delete it. A server, not VM, and it has to mind a lower cases. Put your last name. Servers have to be unique. Okay. And then select the second option and check that option and look for the group. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Student username chaotic.com 2023. Exclamation mark. All right. Networking. Allow resources to connect to that. Go back, one step back. Yeah, turn it on. Next. And create. All right. We're going to use it on Saturday to practice more. So please don't delete that server. There's something missing on the basic. Below.
Subscription.
The subscription is disabled. All right.
Yeah.
But at least
Yes, I know what's about.
you know what to do. Yeah. But that is how you can use it. So on Saturday, we are going to go more into role-based access control. Remember, you have homework, right? The lab, you need to work on that lab on Azure Traffic Manager, load balancers, content-driven network. And then we will spend 1 hour on Saturday to review that before we continue with this. Any questions before we go?
Yes, I had a question, Doc. Regarding the assignment, the lab, can you just show it one more time? Or if not, you can send the video immediately so we have access to, because that was at the beginning.
Let me show you one more time where the lab is.
Thank you.
I'm assuming that everybody in this class has a GitHub account, right? So you log on to GitHub, go to Azure AD, Azure 104 Administrator, and then look for the labs. If you click on it, you can see here instructions will show you the labs. Am I recording this? Let me make sure it's on tape. Yes. All right. Now look for this lab. This is the lab. Implement network traffic management. Remember how this lab works. I've explained this a couple of times in this class. If you're going through this lab and someone says, this is normally the picture. This is what you're trying to build, right? You're building this. But then if you on this, and then someone says, in the toolbar, Cloud Shell, and the drop-down menu, upload the files. This is the file that you need to upload, and also this file. Because you have to be calling these files, these commands will call this file. So you have to first upload the file. So how do I get the file? This file is under the folder, all files, lab 6, AZ1046 VM template JSON. So how do I get the lab? This is, you have to go back all files. So let me go back again to, and then you can see here, all files, right? That's the instruction, all files. And it was number 6. And this is the scripts. These are 2 JSON scripts. You have to download this script, right? Let me go back. I'll have to, these are the 2 files that I have. I'll need to download the JSON script. Download raw file. So I'll download. And go one step back again. This again, this is another file we need to download, and download this. So now they have been downloaded. I can now have them now on my download. Where are they? These are the two JSON scripts. So if the instruction says upload, I'm going back here on my Cloud Shell. Let's go back to Cloud Shell. Remember, see why I told you that not to create multiple subscription? Because here, I have to always come and select which subscription I want to do this on. So I'm working on this. So I have this. So I'm working on this. Create the storage. So if I create a storage on Optic Consulting Firm, I will be charged. But if I don't look for the right subscription, I might not know that I have resources there, right? So it's very technical to be aware of that. So I will not advise you to create a multiple subscription, except you really know how to manage it. Okay, so once this gets created, right? So once this Cloud Shell opens, and I'm asked to upload a file, wait for it to open. Still connected. Okay, so remember, if I do directory, sorry. If I type, why is this thing doing this? Okay, okay. What am I typing? What here? Why is this thing going back up? All right. Sometimes this does it, and I have to restart this shell to restart. If you restart, it's taking too long. I'll just close it, go back again and open. Okay. Something is okay. If I type DRR, which tells me directory, you can see that there's only 2 files that are on my directory. There's really nothing. Now, when the instruction says upload a document, you have this option here, upload and download files. You can literally click here and upload. So upload, I need to go now to my download and select, I can select these 2 files, and then you see the uploading complete. Now, if I go back again and do directory, you can see now this directory now has this file. This is the file. Oh, you didn't upload the other one. So this one is template. Let me upload the next one. Upload. So it doesn't allow me to upload multiple ones at the same time. So which one did I upload? AZ1046. Look, template JSON. 106. Okay, parameter is missing. All right, parameter now is uploaded. So if I check now again, you see I have 2 files in here, right? The loop and the parameter. So I can literally now execute any file because they're in here now. You can call these files. So just so that you don't get stuck with this assignment, when you are asked to upload or call, for example, if you go back to the instructions, on the instructions here, on that lab, the lab 6 here, it will, if it tells you here, for example, in your toolbar, Cloud Shell, upload the following files. These 2 files need to be uploaded. From the Cloud Shell panel, run the following create resource group that will be hosting the lab environment, right? Replace the Azure region placeholder with the name of the Azure region where you intend to deploy your Azure virtual machine. You can say, get this. If you don't know what the region, you can just use this. Get Azure location to get the region list, right? If you have forgotten how to do it, you can literally do this. Get
Azure location.
Is it here already? No. So if I go here and type space, Azure location, it gives you all the different locations, right? So you can literally say, okay, I want to deploy my resources in the Let me choose South Central US. Where is it? South Central India, no. South Central US. I copy this location. Now, the instructions now says this is the command you have to run. Location, the Azure location. You have to do this now. The resource group. So I have this. I can open my notepad now. I have my notepad, new notepad, and go here, copy this to that notepad. Replace this location with that. Right? Now it's a parameter I'm passing. Anytime you see something with a dollar sign, it means it's a parameter that pass. Right? I pass this parameter. So each time I call the word allocation, it's going to refer to this. Right? So go back again here. I passed another parameter, which is a resource group. So each time I call the word add RG name, it will always point me to this resource group. So I want you guys to begin to really understand how PowerShell works. Right? So now I can pass another parameter. Now it knows that this is this I'm referring to. So on this script now, if I click this new Azure resource group minus name, right? And it says minus name here. This minus name, RG name, was it already defined up here? The name was not defined. The name was not defined. So I think it's missing something here. It's missing the name. Or finally create the resource group in the easy group minus name. RG. Oh yeah, okay, there you go. So you can see here minus name. When you say minus name, it calls the name $RG name, which is up here. And we already said, whenever you see $RG name, this is what I'm referring to. Right? Minus location, $location, because we already defined location up here. So this one here will create a resource group that has this name and this region. All right. If I run again, you can see paste and enter. I don't know what's wrong with my thing, but for some reason, specific location is invalid. Okay, you know why? Because
It has already been defined up there.
I had to remove the bracket. So let's do it again. I'm happy that you guys are understanding this now. So remove the bracket and then enter. So it defines it now. If I go back now and say this, see, succeeded. It created a location and so on. So you can just go through this. This lab really needs you to read along the line and understand what you are doing and go down. And then by the time you're done, you just finish it. All right, I'll stop here.